So we've all done some dumb things while on vacation. I know I certainly have. Maybe you've spent all of your money at the casino trying to win big. Maybe you've cruised with the wrong person and now they've betrayed you, have found somebody else to bed wrestle with. However, one of the dumbest things you can do while on vacation is to race against time. Well, in this particular case of this video, have somewhat of a brisk drunken walk next to it. The cruise gods have blessed us with a banquet, a peer runner video, a couple of poor devils or irresponsible devils that unfortunately were late to the cruise ship, almost missed the damn thing, and well, I got the video footage. I'll show you that and then we'll go over the details of this situation after. Watch out, you need them bending, but when they give you the belly up. Let's go, man! Wind it! Belly your time! Let's go! Let's go with Mark, they had a dream begun. My who was sweating, but Cardi in the hand, but he may got your back. I must confess, there's nothing more that's turning you like a belly up contest. My eyes are wide, trying my best to get me down. Now, what in the carnival is going on here? I'm sorry, I had to say it, seeing that this is a carnival ship, this conundrum, this situation took place on. By the way, shout out to the subscribers that, first of all, recorded this video the right way and sent it over to me. I really appreciate you guys. It really goes a long way to continue with this very entertaining and, of course, valuable content. Now, all this took place over in Bimini, Bahamas, allegedly on July 29th, and the passengers that end up being late to the cruise ship were sailing on board the Carnival Sunshine cruise ship. Now, this ship in particular was built in the year 1995 and holds 2,600 passengers. According to the eyewitnesses that were on board the Carnival Sunshine at the time this incident took place, the vessel was in preparation to depart Bimini, Bahamas and head back to conclude its cruise. However, there were 4 passengers that were late. They were being called all over the intercom left and right by first and last name, their government names, and well, the ship ended up waiting a whopping 30 minutes for these passengers to make it back on board, as you saw in the video. To make this clear right out of the gate, this is a very rare event, a phenomenon, if you will, an outlier that never happens when it comes to cruise ships. Well, every now and then a ship will wait for some poor devils or, like I said, irresponsible people that decided to get to the port late. And well, the ships do have the assumption that over in places like Nassau, Bahamas, anywhere over in the Bahamas, or for example, Cozumel, Mexico, you might have some stragglers here and there that either just didn't keep track of time or maybe they took too many shots, and just like that, they're going to be a little late to the cruise ship. However, I do believe 30 minutes is typically the maximum. However, also to be very clear, nobody, and I mean nobody, should ever do this, because if the cruise ship leaves you, it is 100% on you. There is no questions asked. Once again, for those out there in the back that didn't hear what I said, the cruise ship is not specifically going to wait for you. There are just protocols and a couple things that need to be done as far as like the manifest sheet and the disembarkation process as far as the ship undocking itself for it to sail off into the sunset and 7 seas, and that does allot people from time to time a little bit of wiggle room to be able to make it back to the ship should they be maybe 10 or 15 minutes or so late. In my humble opinion and experience, I would say to get back to the cruise ship while you are having fun in the ports of call on the islands, at least an hour or so prior to the ship sailing away. Why? Because first of all, there can be a confusion in time. Whenever you're in a place, for example, that is notorious for having people be late to the cruise ship and even miss the cruise ship, you have something known as ship time and you have local time or land time, in which it could differ by an hour or so from the ship when you are over in these ports of calls, causing you to, well, eventually end up being late or missing the cruise ship. And if you're late, well, yes, you're going to be mocked and laughed at by many a people, especially if you have the inconvenience of being in a port where there's like maybe two or three ships around that see you running for your dear life or stumbling drunk over to the cruise ship. And if you end up being late, guess what? It's going to end up costing you a lot of money. This is because you are, of course, going to have to pay your way either to the next port of call, the next destination which the cruise ship is visiting, or fly your way back over to the home port in which you originally sailed out of, which is obviously embarrassing, but also just not good for you or your wallet. The best case scenario is that you do just simply end up spending a little bit more money than you planned on spending for your vacation trying to get back to wherever the ship is. However, on the worst possible scenario, you could have a situation where you didn't bring your passport and now you are stuck in a foreign country. No, they're not going to keep you there forever, put you in the gulag, the brig, the jail, or anything like that. However, you will now have to go to the US Embassy and you got to go through a giant process for them trying to get you home. They may front you the money if you don't have it. However, now you're going to be indebted to maybe a local government or the embassy, and that also is not good. And it's just also going to end up costing you potentially more money in fees, which is something you obviously do not want to deal with. I do have to admit, while I'm up here talking all this smack and just saying all of these crazy things, I myself am not immune to these types of situations. I have been in a situation where I myself, believe it or not, almost missed a cruise ship, actually on several occasions. A few times when I was working for a Norwegian cruise line, me and my friends, we'd be in Jamaica and Cozumel, just gallivanting all over the place and riding jeeps and going snorkeling and scuba diving, lose track of time, take some shots. And I get how it all can happen, especially if you are with your boys and your girls and you're just kind of just enjoying life and creating some great memories. However, I do believe, like I said, if you get left, that is no excuse. You can't go to the captain or the US Embassy and say, you don't understand. Me and my boys, we were trying to do a keg stand, and Billy Bob over here, he was a little hesitant. He cost us an hour because we were trying to convince him to do the keg stand. There is no excuse for it whatsoever. Moral of the story here, I'm assuming that most of you watching this video are adults, which means you, of course, have responsibilities. You are free to do whatever it is that you want, of course, as I always say. However, you are not free from consequences. You are not anything special either. You're not the king and queen of the cruise ship. The ship is not going to wait for you. You might get lucky, as I said, the ship has protocols and all these little giblets and details that they have to follow before they actually disembark and sail away. But if you're not lucky and you have that little mishap where you are late to the cruise ship or miss the cruise ship, well, honestly, my personal opinion, unless you have an actual emergency, in which in that case you should contact the proper authorities or go to the hospital, that we can contact the ship and get everything rectified and organized, it is all on you at the end of the day. But of course, let me know your thoughts on this in the comment section below. Of course, hit that like button on your way out. Subscribe if you haven't already. I know most of you are not subscribed. I'd really appreciate it. I'm trying to be the biggest cruise YouTube channel in all the land. We'll see. I think we're at like number 3 or 4 or something like that. We're working our way up. But I appreciate you guys. I'll see all of you later, and well, take it easy.